The second thing that I want to cover is sort of related, and it's Kim Mulkey. Now, I want to say at the front here that I am not a Kim Mulkey apologist. I never have been. I don't particularly find myself fond of her and the way that she conducts her business as a human being. I do recognize that she is highly talented as a coach. I do recognize that what she does and how she does it is a winning formula. The proof is in the pudding. She has won national championships wherever she's gone, as a player and as a coach. She knows what she's doing. I'm not a huge fan of the way that she treated a lot of people who took COVID seriously. I'm not a fan of sort of the way that she conducts herself in certain avenues. But last week, she spoke to an article that was impending from the Washington Post, which is my local newspaper. This is a newspaper that took down a sitting president, Richard Nixon, and is not unwilling to do things that are uncomfortable to uncover the truth. And so when she started speaking to that and talking about how it was a hit piece and all these different things, I became very interested in what was going to be in this article. And earlier this week or this weekend sometime, the article dropped and I read it in full. And I have to tell you that I was a little bit disappointed in it. Again, Kim Mulkey is not my favorite person. I think she is crazy in some ways. But what I've come to kind of learn after actually reading this article is that she's not unlike anybody in her position. These people that are wildly competitive, these people that are singularly focused. That's Kim Mulkey. Kim Mulkey is singularly focused on winning basketball games. And the reason she is that is because of her upbringing, because of the way that people have betrayed her in her life. And this article did, I thought, a great job of kind of giving us some background and context to who Kim Mulkey is. Now, the one thing that I will say about this article is I think that it intended to make anybody who's reading it feel a certain way because of alleged incidences or alleged, I don't even know what to call it, but essentially making us feel that Kim Mulkey treated gay and lesbian players different than she treated everybody else. And obviously they spoke to former players, and these former players in some form or fashion seemed to be slightly disgruntled. They didn't talk to everybody. They didn't talk to a lot of people because a lot of people just did not want to participate. They mentioned Kim Mulkey and Brittany Griner and all that stuff. But I think that the article was a little misguided because Kim Mulkey, again, whoever she is now, whatever opinions that she shares, even if you think they're Trumpian in their approach, she's a human being as well. And this story exposed a lot of how she is estranged from her parents. As somebody who is estranged or was estranged from my mom for years, anybody who knew me knew that I would talk about it. That doesn't mean that everybody feels that way. And it doesn't mean that everybody should feel comfortable enough to make public all of these things that happen within your family. Aaron Rodgers famously has had that issue. And a lot of people think that because he's estranged, that he has to be a terrible person. Well, don't make the assumption that everybody's mom and dad are great people, because I definitely know people who have terrible mothers and fathers or had terrible mothers and fathers and had to get out of that in order to be the people that they are today. I guess I was disappointed because, again, I feel like this article was not after seeking the truth about something. When Kim Mulkey essentially came out and tried to get out in front of this article, I honestly thought that she was going to be accused of doing something. There was going to be some smoking gun. All it really was highlighting who she was and sort of making these veiled accusations that she treated those players differently. And I feel like the article did not get after the truth. I think the article had an agenda. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist in any way. Again, I think that most journalists are doing their best to provide the truth, because that, I think, at the core of journalism is what so many of them are going after. But this article really didn't get to that. I ended up reading this article and sort of feeling slightly sympathetic for her in certain ways because, man, she had a number done on her mentally as she was growing up as a basketball player by the coaches that she was coached by, and she learned all of her behavior from those people. Not to mention the fact that at her age, I think she's in her 60s, she just comes from a different generation. And yes, people like Bob Knight, who I eulogized and said he's complicated. And when I say he's complicated, that means that there are things that he has done, actions that he has taken that I don't agree with. I'll never agree with choking a player. I'll never agree with being physical with a player in that kind of way. Racial slurs, gay slurs, anything. You throw anything like that in there that's dehumanizing, I'm not here for it. But hard coaching is a completely different thing. And the article tried to talk about Kim Mulkey not wanting to hear about boyfriend-girlfriend problems, and they focused on girlfriend problems. But my guess would be that she felt the same way about girlfriend problems as she did about boyfriend problems. Because again, like I mentioned when talking about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, Kim Mulkey is singularly focused on winning basketball games. That is her entire life. It is her entire existence, and nothing is going to get in the way of that. Not to mention, she comes from an era for which people being public about those types of things is not what we did. Kim Mulkey is from that generation. Keep it private. It doesn't come into our basketball meetings. It doesn't come onto our basketball court. And while those things do make up who a person is and they do affect their performance, there are a lot of avenues outside of the head coach that could take care of that. And so I think the intended feelings that people were supposed to feel, to me, weren't met. And again, as somebody who empathizes with a lot of people and certainly can sympathize with a lot of the plights that people have been through that I know that I haven't been through, I didn't read that article and feel like, wow, just a terrible person needs to be fired. And the timing was weird during the NCAA tournament. They're defending national champions. I mean, this article could have been written whenever. Kim Mulkey has been this person her entire life, and a lot of the stories that they told happened at Baylor. So maybe it's just because of the fact that she's not been at Baylor, but I think it was trying to say that Kim Mulkey leaves a wake, a path of destruction everywhere that she goes. And what head coach doesn't do that? How many people watching or listening to this have left a job in some form or fashion, and you know that that job is worse off because you left? Did you care? Does it matter? Because you got where you needed to go. Because like I said, you got to look out for yourself. Kim Mulkey leaving Baylor and saying that Baylor is in the trash, basically, that's offensive to the current coach. And that program was a number 4 seed this year, or 5 seed, I can't remember, in the NCAA tournament. To me, that's not leaving them in the lurch. That's just the turnover from one coach to another. And the turnover from a Hall of Fame coach to somebody who's not a Hall of Fame coach is just going to be more difficult than the other way around. I feel like the article really missed the mark. And it disappoints me because, again, this is the second time now that journalism has let us down when it comes to coverage of women specifically. Because, again, you don't see a lot of articles about men like this. At least I don't. You don't see a lot of male coaches being taken to task. Gino Auriemma got taken to task for calling South Carolina thugs, and I agreed. I thought that was a poor choice of words. Dawn Staley, I think, is running an excellent program. And Gino Auriemma, who is an elder statesman in this game, got frustrated because other programs are coming to pass him, and he doesn't like the way that they recruit, play, whatever it is, because that's not the way he does it. And he got caught in a moment that was definitely poorly chosen. But I think Kim Mulkey is just insane because she is so competitive and just so into winning. And all I want at the end of the day here is I want us, journalists, regular people, people on social media, people watching this, I want us to all think harder before we say things or type things and hit publish or hit send. Because I think we have come to this place where we're allowing ourselves to dehumanize a lot more people more and more often. And we should not be doing that. We should be propping these people up. We should be making sure that these people know how great that they are. Even if you're not a Caitlin Clark fan, calling her a hag, just not here for it. Not here for it. And I feel like keep those words to yourself. Plain and simple. Journalists need to be better, though, on the other side of that, too. It's the pursuit of truth, people. It's not the pursuit of your opinion, and it's not the pursuit of trying to make people feel a certain way by giving you stories that have nothing to do with a specific incident, but just are trying to stoke the embers and create a fire where there isn't a fire right now. And that's all that I'm asking for.